Can I just start this video by saying that I'm really frustrated. Really frustrated. I had the idea for this video months ago. In fact, I think it was a comment underneath my last video on a similar topic months ago, where I talked about the potential for 7-star Ghost. Unlike 7-star Ghost, I'm overwhelmingly positive about the idea of 7-star Valkyrie. But I had this entire thing, I had the gameplay done, I'd even put out the commentary, so I'd filmed both the gameplay and myself. I'd edited it all together, had the intro, had the conclusion, it was all done. I was in bed, about to finish up the thumbnail, when I realised I forgot to apply champion boosts in order to simulate a 7-star Valkyrie. Now, I could have just played it off as if that was what I wanted to do, that I was just mucking around with the 6-star rank 5 Ascended, and that was as far as the video was meant to go. But then I remembered that that's not what I did in my Ghost video, and I don't have the heart to lie about it. Because that was what I intended, and I completely cocked it up. So here I am today, re-filming all of the same content, just with boosts. I don't see all that big of a difference, by the way, mainly because I'm a shit Valkyrie player. But you can see me here, just applying the boosts. That first clip was actually filmed after this clip, which is funny. But right, today, we're going to be talking about why 7-star Valkyrie should exist, and why MCOC is ready for 7-star Valkyrie. As I said, unlike my video on Ghost, I'm overwhelmingly in favour of this change. Ghost is a little bit too broken. She is still ridiculous in 2025. However, Valkyrie, the message I want to put out today is one of it just being a really sensible decision. I think now is the right time. She should be in one of the future Titans. Obviously, we already have the next Titan pull decided. However, this is just a profoundly good idea. For many reasons. Now, the first reason was actually the guy you just saw flash up on screen there, so Thing. Now, Valkyrie in Battlegrounds and Alliance War is absolutely fine as a 7-star in my opinion. She has plenty of new targets coming out in the Science class for Battlegrounds and Alliance War, and when we think about her staple matchup, which is supposed to be Thing, I actually don't know this. I'm asking for you guys' help in the comment section because I'm fairly sure this is what's happened, but I'm not entirely sure. The interaction between Valkyrie and Thing's protection, I could have sworn that's been changed. Because when she first came out, I remember that she was... I got smacked in the face there, but luckily, the glancing from the node helped me. I swear she was taking things in like 30, 40 seconds thanks to her incredible anti-unstoppable utility. If she's SIG 200, if she has a single pierce on her, she will hit unstoppable opponents. They will react as if they are not unstoppable, right? That's incredible utility. As well as the bulwark, if she has one, she goes stun immune, which is nice. But I think now, the hits you deal through the block trigger his protection. So I recently had to use Valkyrie against quite a big thing in Battlegrounds. I think it was a 7-star rank 3. And it was like a 75, 80 second fight. It was very safe, I won the round. But it's a lot slower than I remember it being when she first came out. Because I thought it was supposed to be like the hits through the block bypass the protection, like Massacre. But I don't know. Something's happened there. But it's not just Thing. Valkyrie does very well against Photon. I have a massive phobia of Photon. If another Photon counter comes out, I'm all for it, right? So she doesn't actually have a way of getting around Pure Light form, right? So you are going to see Photon enter Pure Light form. However, she has very powerful debuff Shrug utility, so she's not going to have an awful lot of energy vulnerabilities on her. So the block damage that you do take is going to be significantly reduced if the fight isn't already over, right? She hits very hard there. All of these opponents have 550 to 600,000 health. She's taking every single one of them in around a minute. But we'll get on to damage output in a second. There are also two completely brand spanking new Science Defenders making waves in Battlegrounds right now, and Alliance War, and those are MODOK, the MODOK buff, specifically the Awakened MODOK buff, and High Evolutionary. So High Evolutionary asks you to gain combo while his passive combo detonation is active, or you die, right? Or you probably lose the round in Battlegrounds, and you are at a risk in Alliance War of losing attack bonus, right? So you need someone who has ways of increasing their combo meter despite his auto block, and you need to do it quickly. And Valkyrie can gain combo despite hitting the opponent's block. So if she hits into the opponent's block, she'll gain combo as if she's just doing an ordinary hit, right? That's utility to get around high evolutionary. His auto blocks don't trigger parry. So if you do end up just triggering his auto block, those pierces will allow you to gain like massive damage to the block. You won't be stalled at all by that. And you'll gain a little bit of power as well by hitting him in the block. So that's fine. MCOC's Awakened ability allows his auto block to trigger parry, which is nice. I haven't had the displeasure of fighting an Awakened MCOC in Battlegrounds yet. There was one in my opponent's deck today, but he didn't draft it, luckily. But Valkyrie, a Sig 200 Valkyrie, will be completely stun immune when she gains 1 Bulwark. So that's something. At least she wouldn't have to worry about that after you get the initial setup, and then she's a very fair counter to MCOC, right? So you have the initial terror, and then she just handles him like a champ, right? So that's great. She definitely has application against certain meta defenders. Then there's her use in Alliance War, right? So historically, people have used Valkyrie for Path 9 because she does gain a little bit of power every time she hits into the opponent's block. And this fight's actually quite funny. You're going to see here, I trigger the node where I can capture the glancing mechanic. So there, I now have the Adaptive X gene. And I'm going to chuck the SP2. I think I land an intercept. And then this guy throws an SP2. So just a quick break in the commentary. I try and get him just to not throw it, and I just want to nuke him. But he throws it, and then nothing happens, which is quite funny. Anyway, moving on. Historically, people have used Valkyrie against Path 9. Now, hazard shift nodes are very, very treacherous in today's meta. There are plenty of very, very difficult defenders running around that are hard at the best of times and a lot harder when there's random DOT that will nuke you in 10 seconds. Right? And Valkyrie will provide a fair, powerful, but a balanced option to some of the harder fights on that lane. So that's pretty nice. Now we need to talk about her damage output. As I said, every single one of these opponents, 550 to 600,000 health. This Infamous Iron Man is a fantastic showcase of her damage. We all know that Infamous Iron Man likes to regenerate when he goes below, I think it's 15% health or 25% or something. Anyway, it's a huge regen. If you don't have a way of getting rid of his armor, if you don't have a way of getting rid of his anti-knockdown utility or his regen, like a nullify or some other way of getting rid of it, then he's quite a long fight. He can like double his the fight time. It's very, very frustrating. However, Valkyrie is just going to punch through it like a champ. Right, she does hit very, very hard, but she is not Cull Obsidian. Talking of Cull Obsidian, as I'm recording this, I bet the community has just about gone past the Crucible Realm event milestone where we get the 7-star Awakening Gem. I will be taking my Cull Obsidian as high as possible in Signature Stones, and then I will release a mega showcase for him. But she is not Cull Obsidian. She is not CGR. She is not Crossbones. She does not have game-breaking damage output. As you can see, it's very, very strong, but it's not going to rewrite the space-time continuum, and she isn't going to break reality with any of her like basic combos or SP2. So if you were to release a 7-star version of Valkyrie, it wouldn't be too insane, by any means. And the final thing I want to say is if you were to release 7-star Valkyrie tomorrow, the vast majority of the player base would be completely unable to take advantage of her insane utility that comes at signature level 200. Right, so all of the damage is on the base kit. I believe the debuff purification is on the base kit. That's great. However, the anti-unstoppable utility, that comes at Sig 200. The stun immunity, that comes at Sig 200, or it's optimized at Sig 200 rather. You can get it when you have like 2 or 3 pierces or 2 or 3 bulwarks. That's fine. Ideally, you just want to get it up as fast as possible with 1 of each buff. So what you could do, maybe, is release 7-star Valkyrie in an event, maybe a Saga Chase, and then lock 200 Sig Stones and the Awakening Gem behind some sort of paywall, right? I would be absolutely fine with that. I would actually be okay with that paywall. That would be fair. Everybody gets 7-star Valkyrie. The whales get something a bit bigger. And that is just about all I have for you today. I have finally completed this video. Christ, it's been 5 days. I am very sorry. I have content coming, and there are exciting things on the horizon. So if you have made it this far, then congratulations. You have the attention span greater than that of a goldfish. And go away.